Okay, the public hearing for District Number 518 on August 16th, 2022 will come to order. Welcome to all the guests in attendance for the public hearing. We have a presentation of a tax abatement request from Marco Ramos. Do you have the information, John?
Yeah, so they have submitted the Nobles Home Initiative request related to Lot 6 and 7, Block 3 of Cecilia Edition, parcel number 311068-085 and 090. And so it's two lots, and they provided all the necessary information related to the request. And so with that, it would be appropriate to move it on to the main agenda for approval.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions from the public in attendance or from the board at this point? Okay, hearing none, we close the hearing. The regular school board meeting for District 518 on August 16th, 2022 will come to order. Let the minutes reflect all members are present except for Mike Harberts. Thank you to all the visitors in attendance and those listening via live stream tonight. Under correspondence and recognition, there has been no requests for public participation, and I've received no correspondence for recognition of students, staff, and community. So then the next item then is approval of the agendas. We have two changes. We need to remove item number 5.12.5, and that's to approve the resolution placing Bridget Smith on unrequested leave of absence. So we need to remove that item, and that's 5.12.5. And also then we're going to add under the main agenda 5.16, and that's discussion on the West Learning Center. So if you could take one thing away and add the other, I would entertain a motion for approval of both the consent and main agenda.
I move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Adam.
Second.
We have a second by Joel. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item is 3.0, approval of the minutes. We have the July 19th, 2022 school board meeting minutes, and also to accept the committee meeting minutes as included in your packet. Do I have a motion for the approval of 3.1 and 3.2?
I'd like the motion to approve the minutes of the school board minutes and the committee meetings.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Joel. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item is 4.0, the items under the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
I move approval of consent agenda.
A motion by Adam,
Second.
second by Brad. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item is the main agenda, 5.1, monthly financial overview discussion. Dave?
You should have the revenues and expenditures through the month of July. So we're just starting our fiscal year this first month. Not a lot of activity. We're pretty close to where we were this time last year on revenues, a little better on expenditures, but we're just getting the ball rolling, and there's really nothing new or unusual this month. So.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave? Okay, moving on, 5.2, approve the tax abatement request, resolution number 1.
I move approval of the tax abatement request.
Okay, we have motion by Steve. Second by Joel. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next item is 5.3, discussion and action on policy 524, the Internet Acceptable Use, Safety, and Data Privacy Policy. John, you want to lead that?
Yeah, so the Internet Acceptable Use Policy and Safety Data Privacy Policy is related to the legislation that was passed and went into effect July 1. And it's updating our policy based on MSBA's model policy to reflect those changes. The biggest change that came was in adding a section 8, 9, and 10 related to the use of devices by kids and how data privacy plays a major role in that. And of course, with that, it does limit our ability to monitor some things. So, been through it, it's all acceptable. So, and it was reviewed by the instructional committee. I can tell you it's part of a law requirement, so technically we have to pass a policy at some point.
Does it matter, John, if that student device is school-issued
Nope.
or if it's a personal device?
Nope.
Nope, it doesn't matter.
How long do we have to pass something? Do we have to do it like now?
Well, we don't have to do it right now, but this is MSBA's model policy. It's been reviewed by attorneys and complies with the legislation. And we still have to implement what's really within the law, so our policy needs to reflect that.
And it's already state law.
Correct. For some reason, I best not say it because my bias will come out.
I just don't get the point of why they make us even vote on it if it's something they're forcing us to do, and I disagree with it, so I just think it's too bad for the teachers, because where it's going to create trouble and havoc, and we talked about it at the intermediate, or at the instructional committee, and it's a joke. I'm not supporting it.
Well, I voiced my displeasure on it at the instructional committee, not only with the legislation, but with the legislators who passed this legislation, which I think is ridiculous. But that being said, I think we have, as a board, have an obligation to pass all policies that we have, and I don't see where we have a choice but to pass this, to be honest with you. But with my disagreement noted.
Okay, any other board members want to voice an opinion or proceed to,
In fact, I would actually, we have a motion yet?
no, we don't have a motion.
I'll move to approve this.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the policy 524 with the new state law requirements in it. Do we have a second?
I'll second Steve.
Okay, second by Steve. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next item is 5.4, approve the revised school lunch prices. Okay, and this was in your packet, Dave?
Really, the only change is the adult lunch price. Happens just about every year after we set our prices. The state comes and says, here's the floor for adult prices. So the adult prices would be going up to $5. The other lunch that was approved earlier would stay the same.
Okay. Do I have a motion for approval of this revised school lunch prices?
I so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Tom. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. Any discussion?
I was under the impression that breakfast was going to be free.
That is
Is it-
coming later on the agenda.
Okay.
Got that, Ben? Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 5.5, approve the VIBE program application submission.
So based on the conversation, and it's at this point no secret, the VIBE program was terminated by MDE, and in the conversation, at the instructional committee, I expressed that we'd like to get board approval to submit a new application to start an online program. Of course, we'll have some work to do to ensure that we meet what MDE feels we did not meet, but I'd like to get actually a 912 or a 712 program submission and a K6 so that if for some reason there's a concern expressed in one area, we can keep them separate.
Do we have a motion to approve the VIBE program application?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Adam,
Second.
second by Tom. So it's one approval for the VIBE program, but it will be split into two different parts. Okay. Any discussion?
This was also part of my disapproval at the instructional committee, but I think we run a really good program, whether the MDE finds little things or not. I think we run a good program, and we need to find a way to continue that. So I fully support doing whatever we have to do to get this program up and running again.
Did MDE submit to us a detailed line of what and why we were not approved?
Yeah, they actually addressed three areas. One was licensure of staff, which they claim they weren't employees of the district, but they were. Two, the not meeting the Minnesota standards in parts of the curriculum program, and three, expenditures that were not eligible expenditures under MDE and state law guidance, which we submitted that in the application, so yeah, we were fine, but again, that's a debate between them and us, I guess.
But I think my biggest concern is they never gave us a chance to even rectify those.
Right, right.
You know, whatever they found, you know, they never even said anything about it to us until they terminated the program. So I think that's, once again, I find my distaste for the people up in St. Paul right now. So, and I'll,
What kind of distaste is it?
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Your motion passes. Next item, 5.6, approve the student-teacher agreement with the University of South Dakota. This was brought to instructional, right? Okay, do we have a motion for approval of that agreement?
So move.
A motion by Joel, do we have a second?
second.
Okay, second by Brad, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item is 5.7, approve an additional 9-12 volleyball coach. Do we have a motion for approval?
Make that motion.
Okay, motion by Brad,
Second.
second by Tom. What's the numbers again?
Right now, I talked with Mr. Dale. He didn't give me an exact number, but it's well over 50 like they expected. And the need there for an additional coach to work with kids is there.
Any other discussion, Steve?
Just curious, do we have a guideline that we've been using for sports that say that we usually have about so many students per coach, or so many coaches per, you know, a coach has so many students on an area? I mean, some kind of a range, or is this kind of just hit and miss?
There has not been a, what I call a guideline. Example, basketball, you have the A team, the B team, and the C team, or varsity, junior varsity, ninth grade team, and there's 4 coaches. Really, volleyball's the same way. We just haven't had that 4th coach in there, which is the varsity assistant, and it's creating that equitable programming.
And I can see in some cases and stuff, depending on the sport, you may not necessarily need an assistant coach or a lot of extra coach stuff. You can combine some, you know, activities and stuff like this, and the coaching is a little bit different style. So I can understand that. I just wonder if we don't really have a guideline at this point that we're kind of using to give the coaches some idea what's going on, or the board some kind of idea when we're going to be dealing with these.
The general basis is realistically about 1 coach for 15 kids or athletes. It depends on the sport. It could be a
Yeah.
little less than that.
Sure.
That's kind of the basis.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Quite honestly, if he can find the coach, then
Yeah.
more power to us.
Well,
Yeah,
and-
and there are plenty of coaching openings within the district. So Mr. Dale would appreciate people who are interested in coaching to talk to him.
Did you look in the camera and say that?
I didn't,
Okay,
but
that's good.
there are a lot of coaching openings.
I have one, I think, that expressed some interest. I'll have to check, not one of our teachers, but within our district, that, within our area, that expressed some interest in possibly coaching for our district. So I'll check it out a little bit further.
Need to call Mr. Dale.
And I'll say that I coached for 10 years in a voluntary basis, and there's very little more rewarding than doing something like that. So if you have the time and you have the ability, I would highly encourage people to get involved in that.
Right. And a wonderful problem that we have kids that want to participate in our extracurricular activities. So with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item is 5.8, approve an out-of-town travel request for the superintendent. Okay, do I have a motion for that?
So move, Steve.
Okay, motion by Steve. A second by Joel. And this is for a national conference on education in San Antonio, Texas, next February. Any discussion?
You're bringing me, right?
Pardon me?
I'm going too, right?
We should all go.
I'm not sure. Not on my ticket, you're not.
Might be a separate motion there.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item is 5.9, approve the district's job points rating system. John, you want to give an update on that?
Yeah, so we've been working the last probably 3 months or more, talking and going through the job points. The district utilized for a number of years what was called the decision ban for determining job points and pay equity reporting. We're moving more to what is similar to the state job rating, and it's utilizing the state job rating, reviewing other schools of similar size and how they do the job point ratings. And so the way this was done is we took and identified all the various positions, points were assigned, and to double check on alignment, then we added the salary side of the coin to make sure we had alignment within that. And so with that, we finally reached an endpoint where we believe it's approvable, and there may still need to be a couple of adjustments later on, but this is a great starting point. We want to get it started and implemented, and as job descriptions are updated, not only will the job description be updated, but then the job points will be assigned in the correct positioning.
We have a motion for approval of the district job points rating system.
I so move.
Okay, motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Joel. First, I want to thank the HR department, John, for getting it done. It took a lot of work and time, I know, to go through each position.
Dave's on that one, too.
And
so.
Dave, okay, thanks, Dave. So it will be comparable then to a statewide system, basically.
It's comparable to the state system. Example, a school that you could use to compare would be Hastings,
Okay.
which is a large district. So we used a couple different districts, but that's one as an example. So it's a comparable scale system and positions and so on.
So when we advertise a position, then that will be a part of the job description where we have rated that position?
Correct.
Okay.
Is this also something that will be helpful to streamline the pay equity analysis when we have to do that, or not
We're
necessarily?
hoping it makes it more in line, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, which we will have to do again next year, so.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item, 5.10, approve to continue to not charge for student breakfast. The Operations Committee is recommending not to approve to the full board. Do I have a motion for approval?
So move, Steve.
Motion by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Joel. Any discussion? what's the cost then to the district? Did you guys talk about that at operations?
Yes, the
The,
income was approximately 20-some thousand.
it's about 27 was the most we collected in the 3 years prior to COVID and the free. And we're now allowed by the state to use food service funds to supplement that, which we've never been able to do. And we have more than sufficient fund balance to cover that. And going back to paid lunch is going to be challenging as it is, and this, we feel, is probably worthwhile to soften the blow a little bit.
So there's going to be enough funding every year to have free breakfast, an ongoing thing, or it's got to be looked at every
Well,
year?
I mean, I would say it's going to be able to do this for a few years. I mean, we may have to revisit it, but it depends on your fund balance and where things are at, and we're in really good shape right now, so.
Realistically, you're going to have to take action every year related to this.
So how do the free and reduced, the people who already get free and reduced, play into that?
That won't change at all. We get reimbursed a certain dollar amount for each free and reduced student lunch. And the free and reduced lunch reimbursements actually increased as well this year. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
This doesn't really have to do with the breakfast being free, but I was reading something here just recently that there was a new law passed, I think it was on the federal level, that was saying that if you're a free and reduced lunch qualified, you didn't have to, I think it was if you already got the free and reduced based on income guidelines, and you didn't have to apply for it anymore. They're going through a new process and stuff for qualifying for this, and for the school districts to get credit for the state, you no longer had to file for free and reduced. That was already coming off of another program identification. So anyway, there's something in the works where it may make some of the application for people getting free and reduced and that guiding our aids that we get from the federal and state, their application may not be necessary anymore. It's already generated and we don't have to do that anymore, which could mean an increase in funding then for us if we have people who aren't filing. So there's some things happening with that. It doesn't really have to do with our approving free and reduced, but if we get more aids coming in and more credit for that automatically, then that may mean that we have more funding available again that we didn't have before to keep this program going. So that might be the positive thing that's coming out in the near future.
But that won't be for this school year, is that right? I mean,
No.
we still need to do applications for this school year, is that right?
Yes, we
Yes,
need to
we
do
do.
applications.
I want to make sure nobody thinks they don't have to, that this year we need to.
We still need it, but that's something it might simplify the process in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Those who the only ones that don't need to is if they qualify for those new P cards, I think they're called. But the actual process they're using created a nightmare and a mess. And software programs didn't integrate, and it was a lot of work on food service staff's part to get all the letters out. So, but I encourage everybody, including those that don't qualify, fill out the application and send it in, because it's hard to get them all collected, and it hurts the district overall if they don't get filled out and sent in. Even if you don't qualify, it's just hard to keep that number up there, so. And since they haven't had to fill them out the last 2 years, it's going to be not a fun deal trying to get them back.
Okay, any other discussion on free breakfast through the district? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item is 5.11, approve the organizational structure.
So the organizational structure was presented to the Operations Committee. It's been updated as a district-wide organizational structure with the new structure under the operations side and the instruction side. The programs pieces that had gotten put in there have been taken out now, so it's all position dominated. So that helps align with the job points that you already approved, and it has a structure for each of the buildings. So there's recommendation to approve this organizational structure.
Yeah, it's a very nice document, if you want to see it in your board packet. Do we have a motion to approve the organizational structure?
I so move.
Okay, motion by Joel. Do we have a
Second.
second by Tom. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item is 5.12, to approve resolutions placing VIBE teachers on unrequested leave of absence. There are 4 under 5.12. They are all a roll call vote, and we'll need to take each one individually. So the first one is 5.12.1, to approve the resolution placing Julie Philibek on unrequested leave of absence. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so a motion by Brad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Adam. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one is 5.12.2, to approve the resolution placing Sandra Hinnenkamp on unrequested leave of absence. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Adam,
Second.
second by Joel. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one is 5.12.3, to approve the resolution placing Ruben Alvarez on unrequested leave of absence. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Adam,
Second.
second by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one is 5.12.4, to approve the resolution placing Amanda Reuter on unrequested leave of absence.
So move, Steve.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Brad. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. And the last one we have removed. Okay, the next item then is 5.13, to approve the resolutions relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contracts of VIBE teachers as probationary teachers. There are there's 5 of those, and they are all a roll call vote, and we'll take them also individually. So the first one is 5.13.1, to approve the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of teaching contract of Jessica Borchardt, a probationary teacher. Do I have
So
a-
moved.
Okay, motion by Adam,
Second.
second by Tom. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one is 5.13.2, to approve the resolution related to the termination and non-renewal of teaching contract of Julia Johnson as a probationary teacher.
So move, Steve.
Second.
Okay, we have motion by Steve, we have a second by Brad. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one's 5.13.3, to approve the resolution related to the termination and non-renewal of teaching contract of Cindy Puckett, a probationary teacher. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Brad. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Dudley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one's 5.13.4, to approve the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of teaching contract of Laura Now, a probationary teacher. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Adam,
Second.
second by Joel. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Studley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, the last one is 5.13.5, to approve the resolution related to the termination and non-renewal of teaching contract of Katie Finley, a probationary teacher.
So move.
Okay, motion by Tom,
Second.
second by Adam. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Ms. Studley.
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Prinz.
Aye.
Mr. Bloom.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, the next item then is 5.14, to approve to reject hiring of VIBE teachers. And that's to reject the hiring of the following VIBE teachers: Deb Dow, Hannah Ambrose, Liz Markle, Michelle Smithson Abdul-Bal, Jen Schmidt, Carla Regalis, Jody Bryant, Sarah Robbins, and Jessica Heidecker. Do I have a motion to approve the rejecting of these hires?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Adam and a second by Brad. Any discussion?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
All these teachers, have we offered any of them teaching jobs within our district?
So in this case, they were offered positions. They have not been before the board at this point, so you can reject the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, the next item is 5.15, salary and benefits increase for the Worthington Paraprofessional Association. Ron, you want to take that?
So this would be a two-year agreement, the salary increase and benefits. First year is 8.66%, second year 5.74%. So total package for 14.9% over 2 years.
Okay, any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, we have a motion by Brad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. Any discussion on the contract?
And I would like to say that we absolutely appreciate everything the paras do. They're invaluable within our district. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item is an addition to the agenda, 5.16, discussion on West Learning Center. First, I want to say, I did read through the proposal from Abundant Life, and thank you for that. It's a wonderful 35-page proposal. I read it, I didn't copy it all, but thank you for putting your work into that. The only question I really did have, that there was no estimated cost for the remodel, and I know that's really, really hard to put into a document like that, but thank you for taking the time for doing that. Now I'll open up to the board for discussion on the outcome of discussion on the Learning Center.
Who else is interested, John?
The original group was a young lady who expressed interest for the Arts Center, Community Center. Have not heard anything back. Not sure they're working on a proposal. I know the investment group was interested, and they were talking about a daycare and maybe some other pieces, or just a smaller portion of the building, of which then they would expect the district to tear most of it down and only keep a part of it. But I have not heard anything more related from them. So in my view, the only one that has really expressed any interest is Abundant Life, and I know they put a ton of work into their proposal and putting it all together, and they have a vision for that. I probably disagree with the fact that there are portions of that to deal with. I think probably are extremely expensive, and we've found that to bring it up to code as you start working through it. It gets to be a pretty costly endeavor. But I do appreciate the vision and the work they put into this proposal. I went through it all. I know it was sent to you, all of you, 2 to 3, well, probably 3 months ago when it first came in.
Yeah, it was.
So I know you've all had time to review and look at it, so.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Steve?
My only concern with dealing with existing proposals or incomplete proposals or non-response is that we haven't really indicated what we're intending to do with this facility. And if we were going to make the decision to allow it to go back into the public for some other use, I think it'd only be fair, if that's our decision, then we're going to have to open it up to everybody. So there might be people out there that we haven't heard from or haven't expressed interest because we haven't actually indicated what our intentions are one way or the other. And as you said, people have expended money and put time into putting proposals together, which is fine, they can do that, but we never have given any indication what our intention was other than to demolish the building, actually. So I think for us to make a decision, our decision really is who made a viable proposal at this point. It's more of, do we intend to accept proposals, or do we intend to not accept proposals and move forward with the demolition of the existing facility? So I don't want to have us basing our decision whether we should or shouldn't based on what we have in hand now. It really would, if we do open it up for that option, we really need to give everybody an opportunity, whether they've done previous work to it or not. So that's the only thing I'd like to say regarding that. I don't think how many proposals we have at this point or don't have, or viable proposals we might think we may have, to be the factor in whether we should or shouldn't move forward with the demolition.
I think that we're limited on how we can dispose of property like that. I don't think we can, I think we have to open it up for bid, don't we? Do we have to have a bid on? Not?
You can do it a number of ways. You can actually negotiate the sale of property without putting it through a bid. But you do have to give every interested party the option to be a part of that negotiation.
Part of our referendum, or in order to build the intermediate school, actually on that proposal was demolish West School. That was part of that, and I have a hard time switching gears right now and not doing. I mean, we accepted the outcome of that election. We sold the bonds in order to build the intermediate school, and I don't see how we can now switch gears on people who thought that was an important aspect of the ballot. I don't know how we can switch gears now when it's already been voted on by the public. I have a hard time with that. So I would really have to see a lot more in order to be convinced that we do anything other than demolish that when we're finished with it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Joel.
my biggest factor with this whole building issue is simply the condition of the building itself. The roof is shot. We've been patching it for years. We're in it now just because we have to be for a little while till we get the greenhouse redone. And ALC and Community Ed is out of there in January. The roof is terrible shape, shot. This asbestos removal will be a huge cost for anybody who would take it. The plumbing and heating and air conditioning is not adequate at all. You could actually build a new facility cheaper than you're going to remodel this one. It is totally not repairable. It's not worth repairing. And I'd like to see that square block used for a future of something for the community that looks nice. Whatever that is, that decision will be made down the road. I think we're going to recoup a lot of our costs of remodeling it or demolishing it with selling it or whatever we decide to do with the property. But my stance is it's just not use. It's just not fit for use. It is just in poor shape, and I think it'd be eyesore for years if someone took it and didn't keep it up. And the way maybe they intend to, but the cost would be very prohibitive. So I would make the motion that we move forward to vacate the building when we get ready to for moving the community ed out of there, and that we demolish the building when the time is fit. I would give the administration the authority to post the advertisement for demolition. I'll make that a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second to Joel's motion.
Second.
Second by Tom. Okay, further discussion.
I was really against demolishing of the west building, but I think after much consideration, it's probably best for the school district to demolish the building and maybe for future development. So I'm in favor of the motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other discussion? Well, I just know for 20 years, when Prairie Elementary was built, and I wasn't on the board at that time, but at that time, it was talked about demolishing it already then. And then because the district had to use it for different things over the years, it just has continued to deteriorate, and we haven't put the money into it to keep it up. And so everything that's been said here tonight is viable and valid, so.
They can have a chance to buy bare land if they want to.
Right, there would be a lot of open options to do something with the Bear City block in the future, or for a future board. Steve?
Yeah, Joel Lorenz and I have had some conversations, regarding this. I personally like the idea of trying to salvage some of the things we have if we can. And there are parts of the building that are in better shape, but they're isolated off from each other. Everything in between, I agree 100%. There's no HVAC system in that old school, just the north end has it, and maybe I think the old media center might have some HVAC systems there. Window air conditioners and stuff, the condition of it all in general is bad. They're talking about using the end pieces, but then, we're basing a lot of this, from what I understand, on the potential for getting grants and other types of state money or something else to do this type of work. And I don't know the prevalence of some of that money or the ability. I know the Historical Society has been working on that with a historical building, and they've been having trouble accessing the grant monies they need for a renovation of a building like that. I agree with Joel. I think the condition of that building, people are looking at that. I don't think it's really salvageable, a lot of it. Some of it might be, but I think it disconnects and ruins the rest of the property that is there. I just don't see where this is a viable building for trying to rehab and salvage and go through that process. So as much as I'd like to try and save things like that, I think that in the interest of the community and the interest is to better make a vacant lot available for development than it would be to try and perpetuate using these old sections of the building. Also, I don't know what the county would necessarily think of somebody taking this with the intent of having it, and then this goes back on taxes, and then the county ends up having to demolish the building. I don't know if I want to put them in that position either. So as much as I wish we could salvage some of it at times, I think the best option for us, and it's been clear that that's the direction we're moving, is to remove this building and move on, and I certainly support going ahead with that tonight.
Okay.
Will we take the playground equipment and everything out? Will we take the playground equipment that's there, everything just bare, the whole thing?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of Joel's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. All right, moving on then to the superintendent's report.
So just a couple things I want to cover. One, we still have open positions within the district, so licensed positions currently right now, there's 12 of them. It's either special ed, EL, or intervention, along with a psychologist that are the licensed position, science position. There are 16 non-licensed positions, primarily paras, but there is a tech position and there is a custodial position. So just still a number of positions that are open. But it's less than last week when I talked to the operations committee. We have been able to hire a couple. I wanted to update you on the enrollment just real quick. We are, when I gave the instructional committee the update on enrollment, we were at 3,300. We're now at 3,323. So, and there are a number that are going through registration right now. and we'll probably see that for at least the next 2 weeks. So I suspect we'll be close to the original estimation that I had, somewhere, I think it was 33, 40 something, if I remember correctly. So that's that one. The last thing I want to mention, Kiwanis had their welcome to new teachers at their meeting today. We had, I think it was 57 school employees participate in the Kiwanis meeting today. Likewise, we gave Kiwanis members a tour of the facility, and very positive feedback on the new facility. And of course, Kiwanis treated all the new employees to lunch today. I'm not new, but I still got lunch. Well, I'm a Kiwanis member, so anyway, it was just fun to have people in the building. And the part I want to remind everybody, September 6th, 3:30 to 6, there will be an open house ribbon cutting of that new facility. So please, well, we'd love to have the community come and walk through and walk around, and we do intend to have some tours for those who want somebody to guide them around the building.
Okay, anything else, John?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, instructional committee report, Adam?
Everything's been covered other than a couple of Brad's quotes.
Well, they're covered quite well.
We know what those were. The operations committee report, Joel? Or Steve?
Missing anything?
Nope.
I think it all was covered.
Okay, other reports? I was at the Crailsheim meeting last night, and we have our Crailsheim student here, and she registered, I believe, yesterday, and wants to play tennis, I think. So good to welcome a Crailsheim student back after COVID. We haven't had one for a couple of years, so. Other reports? Okay, other business? Future business? Okay, hearing none. Adjournment.